As I've mentioned before, the text that I'm working from has had to be reconstructed to some extent from Professor Suzuki's instructions. And the previous verse that I covered in the last video and the next verse, there's quite a bit of cut and paste involved. And in the previous verse, mention was made of Prajna and how it's of three kinds. And there were three phrases to do with mind, with a capital M, which followed after that, which I just took to be describing the Prajna of three kinds, which I think was fair enough, because we don't want to get into too much philosophy here. We want to be practicing awareness, realizing awareness, and realizing its true nature. But I feel it might be worth going back to the original verses which were cut and paste. So before progressing on to verse 293, I want to say a bit more about the previous verse which I covered in the last video, verse 292. And this comes from chapter 3 of the text, verse 42, which is on page 137. And the Buddha says that Prajna with me is of three kinds, whereby the wise grow powerful, individual signs are discriminated, and all things are manifested. Now actually, most of that's included in verse 293. But let's stay focused on Prajna for the moment. So here we've got three different clauses after Prajna, describing the three kinds of Prajna. That by which the wise grow powerful, individual signs are discriminated, and all things are manifested. And these are quite different things. The wise growing powerful, well, the wise only grow powerful in their wisdom. And the wise growing powerful refers to the vehicle of the Tathagata. They refer to the enlightenment practitioner. Wisdom is about coming back to the realization and appreciation of awareness. This is the power of the wise. This is the vehicle of Tathagatahood. And this has got nothing to do with the second phrase, whereby individual signs are discriminated. This is the so-called vehicle of the Sravaka. These vehicles are described in detail in chapter 2, page 56. And I'm taking my cue from this. The vehicle of the Sravaka. The Sravaka is one who is inspired by the teachings of the Buddha, the conventional teachings, that is, the teachings to do with the skandhas, to do with the ethical training and so on. So the Sravakas are into being Buddhists. They follow their practices, their meditation, and they might get into quite a nice state, quite nice meditative states, but they're not enlightenment practitioners. In fact, the path to enlightenment will seem so long to them that they don't even think about enlightenment anymore, because they've got their practices to get on with. So this is the vehicle of the Sravakas. So this is a limited kind of Prajna, although in the reference I mentioned on chapter 2, at some point, once they discipline themselves in the equallessness of persons, they finally gain the knowledge of nirvana. But they would have to stop being Sravakas, really, and stop discriminating individual signs. And the third one, all things are manifested, is the vehicle of the Prajna Buddha. And the Prajna Buddha is here described as one who steps back from all manifestations. So again, this is almost there, but there's a danger of getting fixed into some kind of duality about keeping away from there, whereas final liberation encompasses everything. So this verse actually refers to the three vehicles, the prajna of the three vehicles. So I don't know if that's useful or not. As I mentioned in the previous video, we've got to be careful about not getting too philosophical. But also I suspect here there's a bit of politics involved. Camps were set up within the early community of the Buddha's followers, and we don't really want to get involved in any of that. We need to be able to use these teachings to come back to awareness. And as this verse 42 in chapter 3 points out, what we want is to grow more powerful in our wisdom, and not to be concerned with demarcations, with discriminations, and not to be concerned with developing an attitude to the world that appears to us. We're not interested in developing an attitude. As enlightenment practitioners, we're only interested in practicing awareness. Now, I might as well proceed with verse 293, which says, "It is the habit energy of people that brings out into view something resembling body, property, and abode, whereby the wise grow powerful, individual signs are discriminated, and all things are manifested." So there's a bit of a cut and paste job going on here. And Professor Suzuki also points out the possibility of clerical error. So I don't know if I should try and make these verses try to appear any more than the disparate juxtaposition that they are. I've spoken about this habit energy bringing something into view resembling body, property, and abode before. In fact, there's a video 57, called Body, Home and Possessions, which touches on this topic. So I don't think I'll say anything more about 293. I'll mention though verse 294, because this connects what I was saying about prajna with the other two vehicles. So verse 294, "My prajna has nothing to do with the two vehicles. It excludes the world of beings. That of the Sravakas evolves from their attachment to the world of beings. The Tathagata's prajna is spotless because of its being in accord with mind only." So this is the wisdom of the Tathagata. Has got nothing to do with that of the Sravaka and that of the Prajna Buddha. It's got nothing to do with the world of beings, and this is the world not only of beings, but of everything, including the world of our own mind, our own ideas. And any spiritual teaching which expresses itself in terms of ideas, teachings, the world, is not one that is conducive to enlightenment practice. It's in this sense that the Tathagata's prajna is spotless because of its being in accord with mind only. Our sole concern as enlightenment practitioners is with this awareness which is happening now. Awareness is always happening. And it's not about being aware of something. It's about being in awareness. Now, hopefully as enlightenment practitioners, you've come back to this. But if not, I direct you to the awareness that is hearing this. I direct you to your own sense of being. Abide in that.